And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the always pressing PGA DFS podcast, previewing the 2021 Sony Open Leg 2 of the Hawaiian Swing. You can find me on Twitter at BDentric, the podcast at Always Press DFS, and my co-host, as always, on Twitter at DFS Golf Gods. Jesse, how we doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too shabby. National title night. We had an awesome weekend of playoff football, like 3 games on each day. That can't not happen again, right?
Yeah, it was a pretty good weekend of sports, man.
Yeah, it was good. And then you got primetime golf, that turned into a playoff. Like Harris English won, for those that weren't paying attention. But the fact that the Eagles 18, he walks it off, and that shot to go in for the Eagle putt was absolutely amazing. Like, he gave himself a chance, where in reality, all you had to do was lay up, make a little wedge shot, like play it safe. He said, nope, I'm going for it.
Well, I mean, he could play it out there to the right a little bit further and try to get a bounce, and worst case scenario, still have a 40-footer down the hill that he can, is a decently easy 2-putt. But yeah, he went right after it and hit one of the best shots I've ever seen, especially with a 3-iron.
Yeah.
With that much on the line. And if he just hits that putt a little bit further, it doesn't get to the playoff, but it is what it is.
I'm glad he
wins it anyway.
I'm glad he won because, man, just think about it this way. How bad would it have been if he has 2 tournaments shooting 20 under par and doesn't win either one of them?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say how bad would it have been if people were out there who touted Neiman as their boy would have cashed their ticket. I thought that's what you were going to say. But no, yeah, I mean, he's been playing well. And so English, I didn't see it coming, but dudes like Kevin did.
Kevin knocked it out. He had his write up over at Fantasy Sports Degens. He had English as one of his, he had three or 4 outrights, and English was one of them. And he was on him. Like, he was talking to guys. I watched him on Twitter. English is his boy. We love English on the show for DFS purposes, especially when he's like 7 or 8K. When we talk about him this week, it's gonna be a little difficult to get on that train. But it was good to see. It was just a little surprising. JT looked like he was going to run away with it at one point. Neiman had it going strong. There's a lot of good golf. A lot of Hideki Matsuyama couldn't putt events. It was an up and down week. Like, a lot of the chalk hit. You had Palmer, you had Lanto doing their things when it comes to DFS. Some of the cheap guys like Thompson and Warwinski paid off. So it was a weird week and a very high scoring week. Any other thoughts on the Century?
I don't really. No, I'm ready to move right along.
All right, let's get into it. The Sony Open. We're back to a full filled event. The boys are already pumped in the Slack chat. If you want to come join us there, it's free. Just got to ask. 144 golfers, T65 in ties, and one of the stronger fields that the Sony has featured could be because a bunch of guys played last week compared to usual. One of the normal trends outside of Cam Smith winning last year, I'll let you give the rest of the stats, but usually if you play the week before, you have a better advantage here. So that's something to keep in mind going forward.
Yeah, I'm guessing it was pretty windy last year.
Yes, it was very windy. It was windy for both tournaments because, like, DJ won last year, or JT at like 13 or 14 under, and then Cam Smith won last year like 11 under or something. So yeah, super windy. Do
you want me to dive into this?
Go for it.
Last year, like you said, Cam Smith 11 under par, playoff over Brendan Steele, and like we were just talking about, it was very windy last year. Now, I'm sure you'll talk about it, maybe potentially, but I've already seen there's some weather in the forecast, more in particular rain than wind. But the year before that, 2019, Matt Kuchar, 22 under, 4 shots over Andrew Putnam. 2018, the winner was Patton Kizzire, 17 under, in a playoff over James Hahn. That was the year that the Golf Channel crew went on strike.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was the year that the bunkers, right? People had to stay bunkered.
Yeah, it was 2018. Yeah. Because actually it says right here, there was preparations for the 2018 Sony Open were briefly disrupted by a false emergency alert stating a ballistic missile had been launched toward Hawaii. Oh, can you imagine, dude?
That was wild.
Yeah, that's 2018. That's not even that crazy now.
Yeah, that's like whatever. I mean, we can deal with that.
You remember North Korea? Shit, you remember when they used to be an issue? Yeah. JT won in 2017. He shot 59 the opening round that year. That was after he won the Hawaii or the tournament champions the week before. 59 opened up, finished 27 under par, and ended up just smoking the field. Seven shots over Justin Rose. Other previous winners, Fabian Gomez. This used to be known as the Jimmy Walker swing because he would win every year. 2 consecutive years over in at the Sony Open. Russell Henley's a past winner here. Ryan Palmer won here in 2010. ZJ 2009, and that probably pretty much Jerry Kelly, 2002.
Yeah, he's in the field as well.
Yep.
Yeah, no, and a lot of those names are going to make you think you don't have to be a bomber. And the reason why, at the Wiley Country Club, it's a par 70, 7,044-yard golf course. So it's not very long. We were at a par 73, almost 7,400 yards, give or take, last week. So fewer par fives, a lot of scoring still. It's if the wind isn't bad, like you mentioned, there's rain coming up. If the wind isn't too bad, it's still a pitch and putt, basically. Like, you're going to be fine. As long as you have a good wedge game, you're going to be good. The fairways are much narrower than last week, but there's not much penalty to get it in the rough because the rough isn't that thick. Maybe you can't control it as much on the Bermuda greens, but it's not the end of the world. Greens are kind of friendly. There are some trickiness to them, but nothing crazy. The biggest thing is if they got a good approach game, a good wedge game, they're going to be in contention. So a lot of similarities last week in respects of scoring, but obviously not as many par fives. But in the end, like you were talking about overall winners, scores are very, very similar. So just watch for the wind. If it's windy, I guess you can focus towards wind players, but otherwise, I'm not overly concerned about it. I think course history is going to be big here. I think guys that played well last weekend, which looking at the scoreboard, most did. It'll be the kind of the way to go. There's a lot of course history. So what stats are you looking at this week?
Yeah, it's like a lot of approach because like you talked about, it's a pretty short golf course to begin with, and it's also pretty tight. So strokes gained tee to green is important every week, but obviously something else to consider. Plenty of course history, which I weight heavily, since a lot of these guys haven't played in over a month or a month or so. So lean pretty heavily on course history this week, and then also just kind of looking at what guys did last week.
Yeah, no, it's because that's the only past recent form we have. So we got to go with what we got, and that's why it's good to see a lot of guys playing this week that were there last week. Fansharesports.com, friend of the show. Use promo code AlwaysPress for 20% off the package of your choice. They've added a bunch of cool new features that I'm going to dig into eventually. Like there's like course data that wasn't there before. There's head-to-head tools to compare players and a couple more things, and there's even showdown tools. So go check that over there at fansharesports.com. A couple things that I did last 10 events on Bermuda greens, because that's what we're rolling with this week. In this field, leading the way, Webb Simpson, averaging 98 DK points for tournament. Second place, Abraham Answer, averaging 81. Quite the gap for Webb. And we're going to get a theme. Webb likes this golf course, and it fits him well. Morikawa, English, Berger, and Sergio round out the top 5 on Bermuda putting over the last 10. And then par 70, 7,000 to 7,200 yards. Golf courses over the last 10 events. Webb Simpson, averaging almost 103 DK points. Sung Jae's in second place, averaging almost 83. Hideki, Kuchar, CH3, and Billy Ho round out the golf course layout. So, yes, it is a Webb Simpson type situation here. See what we can do with that. But let's get cracking. Let's get to the DK plays of the week here. We'll start 10K and above. We have 6 guys, Jesse. Webb at 11-1. Like I said, it's hard not to play Webb unless you just want to full fade it. Harris English 10-8. That is quite the price bump. Morikawa 10-6, Neiman 10-4, Matsuyama 10-2, and Daniel Berger up to 10,000. So what are you looking at here in this range?
Yeah, I like them all. But I think, I don't know how much I'm going to actually play these guys. I'm going to start by saying that this is another week. Like I talked about last week, it's easy to get super excited about this, but we don't know a whole heck of a lot about where these guys' games are. And this is a lot of a vacation for them. I know they want to win, all that kind of stuff, but it's not like it's early in the season, and so they're very relaxed and everybody's chill. Long story short, I think that Webb obviously is very playable. He's got very good course history here. 3rd, 4th in his last 2 appearances. Hasn't fished outside the top 20 since 2012. Played okay last week. I'm surprised he's the highest price golfer this week. Harris English, obviously 10,800 coming off the win last week. I would not fade him just because he won last week. We've seen guys go back to back here in years past, so keep that in mind. Colin Morikawa, obviously played here one time, finished 21st, coming off a solid top 10 last week over in Maui. And I think Neiman will be the most popular here. He played very, very well, especially on Sunday. Shoots 64 on Sunday, which is 9 under par. On on that golf course. He did play here last year, finished 57th. He played the tournament champions last year too, and finished 5th. And then obviously came to Honolulu, played and finished 57th. So I don't know how much I really love him this week. Matsuyama looked awful with his putter last week. His course history is okay. I like Berger at 10,000. He's not missed a cut here since 2015. Not great finishes by any means. 38th, 14th, 45th, 42nd, 13th. So to narrow it down, Berger and Morikawa, I think are the two guys that I would target if I get up here. But to be honest with you, like if I'm just going to play one or three lineups, I don't think I go above 10K.
Yeah, it's I'm with you because when we get to the next set of pricing, you can still make some outstanding lineups without going up here. At the same time, it's one of those kind of events where I'm not calling it a small field event because there's a lot of good talent in this field. It's not like a Sanderson Farms or something, but it's one of those like, what was it? Was it Sea Island when the RSM, where it's like, okay, you play Webb at like 80% or you fade him at your own risk.
Yeah,
that's how this week's going to be. Like you either play him and like if you have three lineups, maybe make one Webb just to like cover your butt. But it's tough. I get it. I do like him. Like, you can't not like him, but I do like Morikawa a lot for 500 less at 10-6. When it comes to approach to the green and scoring in bunches, taking advantage of it with fewer par fives. I actually want to put like an emphasis on par five scoring. Morikawa crushes par five scoring. So I think that's an interesting one. 10-6. I love Berger. I'm with you. Berger's probably my favorite up here as well. He could definitely compete with all these guys, and you're getting a discount. That's the way I look at it. And you mentioned the finishes aren't the best here, but 10th last week. And for anybody that's paid attention to golf or listened to the show, the Berger we saw from like when golf returned last year on was not the Berger we've seen in the last few years. So he's been playing much, much better. He's healthier. I think at 10,000, that's a really strong play. And then if you really want to get weird and you want low ownership because you want to play chalk elsewhere, I have no problem playing Matsuyama. I really don't. It's one of those deals we know his off the tee game, his approach game, that's usually, knock on wood, always pretty damn good. It's his putter. If he putts, he's going to contend or at least top 10 every week. If he can't putt like last week, he finishes dead last in a no-cut event. I saw he missed, he was like minus 10 strokes putting last week. That is insanity. Like that is just, Jesse or I could probably go minus 10 on those greens. That's just, I wouldn't get there enough shots to matter, but I'm just saying I could probably, okay, let's get minus 20. We're not pros, okay? Like, let's just think about it. But when you look at his history, he's 4 for 4 made cuts, 12th place last year. He's a guy I feel confident in making cuts nonetheless. And then, like I said, if he can putt, if he even turns that minus 10 strokes lost putting to like minus 4, it makes things a little more interesting. I don't know. But I think he's a very intriguing GPP play. Not a must, but if you want to get different and you still want to be up here a little bit, Matsuyama's going to get like no ownership because of what took place last week. And he is still a top-end golfer that's hard to just completely ignore in this situation.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you're going to get him at very low ownership, and especially in large field GPPs. If you play the big whatever they've got this week, I wouldn't talk anybody out of playing him. I just don't think I will because I'm not going to play enough lineups.
Like but, if I'm doing when I'm doing my core cascade, he's not in my core, but I know he'll be one of my 3 guys when I have my upper price guy. When I have to change him out, I'm going to make him one. He's going to be in there. So
I like it.
9K range. We got some fun ones here. This is why Jesse mentioned you don't need to go up top if you don't want to. You got Sung J M at 98 playing great golf again. Cam Smith, the defending champion, at 96. You got Answer at 94. Talk about a price bump. Brian Palmer up to $9,200. Then your boy Adam Scott at 9,000. What are you liking in this range?
Yeah, I mean, I had them all checked previous to doing this, so I had to kind of narrow it down, and so I took off 2. I don't know. I really like this range, quite a bit. Sung Jae, 9,800, played here the last couple of years, 21st, 16th. Decent start last week to the year or whatever the fuck you want to call it, the season. 14th place finish. He started terrible, shot 2 over the. Excuse me. Where did he finish last week?
Last week he finished 5th.
5th. All right, there you go. 5th place finish last week. Disregarded everything I said about him starting terribly. I don't know what he shot because it's not loaded. Cam Smith, defending champion, $9,600. First here last year, obviously, 22nd, 18th, 27th. Aussie player, can play in the wind, and that's I think kind of why he does well on Hawaii. Answer at 9,400. I had a choice between Answer and Neiman this past week, And
guess who you picked?
Guess who I picked? It was Answer. I mean, he played okay, and he played really well on Sunday.
He made all 4 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, he made all 4 rounds, finished 17th, didn't withdraw randomly for some reason, but 38th, 29th in his last 2 appearances here. For the price, I like him quite a bit. I think Palmer will be pretty chalky. 4th here last year, coming off obviously the 4th place finish at the Tournament Champions, 4th place at the Zozo. He was trending and has been trending up. I don't know, man. I just would rather fade him. And then Scott, man, I don't know. I saw some people tilting his putter, and he decided last week to go with the short putter, and he was doing some kind of arm lock bullshit instead of having the long sweeping putter. I mean, he hit 93% of the greens last week, but don't get me wrong. There obviously we talked about huge greens on Maui, whatever, but and like finishes 21st. So bottom third or bottom halfway, I guess, because there was like 41 people in the field. So 50th percentile, hitting almost every single green the whole entire week. That's pretty bad. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if we can get some intel, maybe him bringing the broom back out or something. I don't know, because if he's doing this unlock bullshit, I'm not on him.
Yeah, Adam Scott to me is like my whole argument I made for Matsuyama. I'll play for Scott, and that's pretty much almost every week because he's just so freaking tilting. Like he's the same kind of guy that I could see him playing the broom on a Thursday and bringing the short one on a Friday just to tilt everybody because that's what he does. Like I just don't know what's going on in his head, and I know I think I've talked about on the show. Like I play with a buddy. If you go to his house, he has like 20 putters in his hallway and just like putts with them all. And then when you see him on Sunday at Skins, he's got a different putter almost all the time. Like it blows my mind. I got the same cheap putter for the last like 7 years, and it's like I've had to re-grip it, and I keep using it because it works for me.
Right.
So I can't wrap my head around why he changes it so darn much, but he's a lot better golfer than me. So I'm not gonna critique him too much.
The one thing about putting, obviously, it's 90% mental, right?
Oh yeah, big time.
But that's also like where you really separate, especially on a week-to-week basis. But I don't know, man. I wish you would just stick to it and just make one thing happen.
Like Webb. Webb couldn't putt. He figured out a putter he liked, and he stuck with it. Now he's good to go. It's like, God dang, let's figure it out, boys.
Personally, I think you should be able to anchor it. I don't give a shit.
Neither do I. I don't understand what that's all about. Like you can anchor it in the senior tour, so why wait till then? Let them go. Like these guys hit the ball 400 yards. Let them anchor their putter.
All right, who cares?
Like, come on. All right, back to the picks here. So Adam Scott, I probably won't have any of this week, but Sung Jae at 98. This is a guy that you can make an argument for in the 10K range. Like when he's playing the way he is right now, we saw that 5th place finish. He's a guy that birdies a ton. He can get eagles. He hits the ball pretty darn accurately. So he should be in the fairway. His approach game is on point. He putted bad last week too, for his standards. This is a guy that literally we've seen it in the past, like pre-COVID, when he's locked in, stay out of the way. He finally got locked in towards the end of last season, and he's carried it over. So I like Sanjay a ton at $9,800. Good first debut here last year. He can rock and roll. I'm going to mention Ryan Palmer. I just can't stomach paying $9,200 for Ryan Palmer, and that's probably not the right analysis to give you on a pick. But when I'm trying to differentiate who I want to play and who I don't want to play, I play Ryan Palmer when he's in the 7Ks.
I mean, he's going to be chalky. He's going to be chalky.
Yeah, a chalky, expensive Ryan Palmer is really tough to stomach. That is like a really tough one to go with.
We have been burned too many times.
Yeah, I guess probably why we say this, because we've been burned way too.
We have the scars.
Go back and listen to last week's episode, everybody. When I said 7K range, no cut event, I'll play Ryan Palmer every time because he's going to blow up on you, which he did. He opened up on a double.
It was terrible at the beginning, yeah. And
then he still finishes 6 under on the day. That is Ryan Palmer, guys. Yep. That is what he does, but he doesn't always finish 6 under. So just remember that. He's great. He's a good golfer. He's going to make a lot of cuts. Not at $9,200. But Cam Smith at 96, I like as well. Always low owned. Might be a little more popular this week after winning last year and finishing 24th last week. Not a great finish, but people saw him at least. He's 5 of 5 made cuts here. He's interesting, but my main guy, I like your Sungjae at 98. It's hard not to like Sungjae right now, so I'm all about that life. 8K range, you got Kisner at 88, Henley at 87, Billy Ho at 86, ZJ 85, Cooch 84, Sergio 83, Todd 82, Lanto 81, CH3 8,000, EVR 8,000. What do you like here?
Start up top with Kisner 8,800. Got really good course history. 4th, 69th, 25th, 4th, 5th. He did miss 2 cuts back in 2015, 2014. Not very worried about that. Obviously played last week, coming off before the Tournament of Champions, where he finished 24th, which is, middle of the pack, whatever. He finished second at the RSM, which was back in December or November. Anyways, November. I like him just due to his course history and having played last week. ZJ 8,500. He's got a pretty good course history. 28th. He does have a miscut in 2019, but 14th, 6th, 9th, 64th, 8th. And he's coming off a solid 6th place finish, back in November again at the RSM. Hasn't missed a cut on tour since the PGA Championship back in August. Kuchar at 8,400 past winter here, just 2 years ago. Before that, he did miss the cut here last year. Before his win in 2019, he was 13th, 3rd, 8th, 5th, 5th. Good course history. Made the cut at the RSM the last time out. Missed the cut at the Masters. I mean, I hope that this break maybe gave Kuchar a little bit of time to reset. Sergio Garcia has never played here, but played pretty well last week. Very surprising. He was very low owned too. $7,700 last week, 7.7% owned. Obviously, get a little bit of a price increase this week. Finished 11th. I was pleasantly surprised with his play last week, and I will go back to him at 8,300 again this week. Brendan Todd, 8,200. Shorter course here, obviously. He finished 21st here last year. Missed the cut in 16, but had 4 cuts in a row before that. So like him quite a bit. Played last week, 13th. Played the Mayakoba back in December, finished 8th. So Brendan Todd still playing very well. And then it's getting time for it, man. The CH3 turn here. The it's CH3 time, basically. Charles Howell, the 3rd time of the year. He plays very well at the Sony. 12th, 8th, 32nd, 8th, 13th, 26th, and 8th. Since 2014 has not missed a cut. Has made 4 straight cuts on tour, all of them pretty much inside the top 50, with a 23rd at the Mayakoba. I think I don't know if people will notice it. I'm sure they will, but I like CH3 quite a bit this week, and I'm hoping I get him at least a little bit under owned.
Yeah, no, we're on a lot of the same pages here, and it's a big, like you mentioned, course history range. I think it's a good cash game range. Obviously, the J8K usually is. But I love Kiz at 88. This is a guy, shorter courses I dive in on. I love Kiz. He's very accurate off the tee, good approach game, can putt on Bermuda quite a bit. On a short field like this, he's made 6 straight cuts with 3 top 5s there. I like Kiz a lot this week at $8,800. Russell Henley at 87, another guy played well towards the end of last season. Kind of mixed reviews on this golf course when it comes to Henley. Missed cut here last year, 68th missed cut, 13th missed cut, 17th W about 8 years ago. But a good iron player, good approach game, and hasn't played in a little while, so he could be an interesting play at lower ownership. I think ZJ at 85 is quite interesting. 28th missed cut, 14th, 6th, 9th. You mentioned all the goods there. Really good course history, and he finished off the season rather well at 6th, 51st, and a 50th. So ZJ at 85 I like as well. Brendan Todd, you mentioned him. I love him at 82. I think there's some very nice low ownership at $8,200. He's a guy that a fairway finder, shorter course. He's meant to be a bomber. That's usually kind of where he gets separated. The longer hitters can fly past him on those big courses. But find the fairway. This is a really good spot here for Brendan Todd, 21st here last year, 13th last week. So that's good to see. And the last but not least, you mentioned CH3. I like him quite a bit as well. Like we like our course history, and this dude, you nailed it with everything you mentioned on the course history. It's just a chalk of made cut after made cut after made cut, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 top 10s out of every event since 2008. That is pretty damn good. So I'm with you. CH3 at 8K, especially in cash. If you want to throw him in a GPP, no problem there as well. So I like that quite a bit. 7,500 to 7,900. You got Griot, Leishman, Munoz, Harmon, Kokrak, Kazire, Cooch, Kim, Bradley, Ortiz, and Hughes. Who do you like in this range?
Start up top with Griot, 7,900. 4 straight made cuts at this golf course, and 8th place finish in his last time out, which was Mayakoba back in December. Munoz at 7,800. So he missed the cut here last year. He was 10th in 2019. I think he missed the cut here last year because potentially I one and done him. I don't know. that's probably the reason. Finished 17th last weekend. I like him just to be a little bit less owned than he normally would be with that miscut here last year. Kokrak 7,700, made 4 straight cuts here. Nothing, too great. He has 2 top 20s in that time. Played last week. Didn't play that great, but I like him because he did play last week in this range of these guys. And then Keegan Bradley at 7,600, 3 straight made cuts here. He's kind of just gotten a little bit better over the last 3 years at the Sony Open. He finished 12th here last year, and then 32nd at the Mayakoba back in December, 15th the week before that, or 2 weeks before that at the RSM. So those are my guys above 75. Who you got?
Yeah, this is a range I love for GPP, and I love for the Cascade because you can rotate a few guys here. Emiliano Grillo at 79. It's always the putter with him, but 4 straight made cuts here, 21st, 22nd the last 2 years. Finished 8th place in his last event he played before the winter break. So I think Grillo at 79 is a very intriguing play, especially in GPPs. If you want to talk GPPs and the guy that couldn't putt last week, Mark Leishman at 79 is also interesting. I know you talked about Leash last week. He's made every cut. He's made 2, 4, 6, 8. He's 11-11 on made cuts since 2009, and included a 3rd place 2 years ago, 24th last week. He's not all there, but if he gets hot with the putter at $7,900, makes for a very intriguing GPP play. Kokrak at 77, another guy that it's always about the putter with him, so you can give him a peek as well. He finished 35th last week. Hasn't played here since 2018, but he's 5 for 5 on made cuts as well at this golf course. And then a guy I like to play in birdie events, which this should turn into, is Carlos Ortiz at $7,500. He's very tilting. He's kind of got a Ryan Palmer feel to him, but he's a lot cheaper this week. He's made back-to-back made cuts here, finished 37th last week, and an 8th place finish before the winter break. But I think Ortiz at 75 is another play. So these 4 guys I think are good GPP plays, good Cascade plays. Grillo would probably be my favorite in that group, but those are the ones I'm taking a peek at for now. What do you like 7K to 7,400?
Matthew Neesmith, 7,400. He finished 32nd here last year. Russell Knox, also 7,400. He's made 4 of his last 4 cuts at the Sony Open and 5 of his last 6. Finished 32nd here last year as well. Coming off a pretty solid finish at the Mayakoba, 23rd back in December. Tom Hogue, 7,300. 12th place finish here last year. He's got more missed cuts than he does made cuts. So 3 out of 5 he's missed the cut, but when he's made it, it's 12th and 3rd. And it's really solid showing at the Mayakoba where he finished 3rd his last time out. Scott Piercy hasn't missed a cut here since 2014. Borderline cash, hasn't missed a cut on tour since the Safeway back in September. So he played a really good fall swing from the perspective of just making cuts and cashing checks. And has traditionally, at least the last 6 years or whatever, done well at the Sony Open. Stugoat Sink 7,200, criminally underpriced.
Mm-hmm.
Is he not? I know you played him last week.
Yeah, he's underpriced compared to the bumps these other guys got this week. Like, how's he still 72?
Well, it's because he finished 31st. I mean,
so he
started so hot. He started so good.
Mm-hmm.
He shot 1 over par on Sunday.
Yeah,
which is hashtag not good, but that was his only round over par, and the wind picked up quite a bit that day. So maybe he just was, I don't know, got too drunk. I don't know, the night before, wasn't prepared. 7,200 Stugoat Sink in this range, especially like him quite a bit, and that's it.
Yeah, Rusty Knox, I like him. Like you mentioned, I think the course history, a guy that can play in the wind, can also play on shorter courses, iron play. It all screams Russell Knox at 7,400. Rory Sabatini at 74. We're going back on the Sabatini train here. He's made 4 straight cuts this event, 5 of his last 6, 21st here last year. Had a decent finish to the fall swing as well. So Sabs at 74 checks the box for me. I like Piercy at 73. Stugoat at 72 is really hard not to play, especially in cash for me. He's made 6 straight cuts. He's made 8 of 11 cuts overall since 2008. So I like the GOAT quite a bit. And then last but not least, GPP only, of course, when it comes to Cam Davis, but 8th place or 9th place here last year, missed cut the year before. He's a bomber, so he's not necessary here, but he's one of those, if he's bombing it accurately, he's going to have such an easy approach in time and time again. So I think Cam Davis in a GPP at 72 is a little underpriced. If he's clicking, obviously that can go awry real quick with Cam Davis as well. All right, 6K range. There's some interesting targets down here. if you want to get weird. So what do you like down here?
Yeah, 6,900. Brian Stewart, 4 straight made cuts at the Sony Open. 53rd last year. He did have a couple top 10s before that. Coming off a missed cut, but $6,900. Peter Malnati finished. I was thinking he had some better finishes. He did like earlier in the fall swing or whatever. He finished second, then fifth in back-to-back weeks. Sandersons and Shriners. Coming off a missed cut at the Mayakoba, but has pretty decent course history, at least okay course history. 3 of 6 made cuts here, 12th, 27th, and 38th in his 3 made cuts, which are 2020, 2017, 2014. So, anyways, Malnati, I think at 6,900 is playable. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of this range down here. Jerry Kelly's another guy who just for whatever reason, I guess because he's had 1 start on my list here. He's a past champion. He made the cut here last year. He hasn't played on the PGA Tour since the Workday Charity Open where he made the cut. I mean, if you're down here 6,200, I don't know what else to tell you. Not playing Grayson Murray. Did you see his tweet today, by the way?
Yeah, he's trying to get Trump to start an event with a big purse opposite of the PGA.
I mean, some of these guys down here will, there's going to be somebody down here. It's just hard for me to pinpoint at this point. Just like Hudson Swafford, really good course history.
I was wondering, that's one of your boys. I was like,
yeah. He played the Tournament Champions, finished 35th last week. So, I mean, it's not great, but, traditionally guys who do play the Tournament Champions are more successful at the Sony Open. So at 6,800, Swafford would be another guy I'd be willing to take a chance on. But
yeah, obviously these are GPP plays. Stewart, I like a lot. Like you mentioned, good course history. Swafford, good course history as well. I think at $6,800, Bo Hogue finished 9th here last year, a 23rd and a 30th in his last 2 events of the fall swing. So a guy that was coming in with some pretty decent form. I think he's intriguing at 6,800. And then I just take a drop from 68 down to 63. And I go to some of the guys we played in the past. Joseph Bramlett, 45th here last year. Not coming in great form, but he's a guy that if he gets hot can birdie in bunches. So he's interesting at 63. Here's a guy that I'm not sure I've ever recommended on this show, Jesse. We've done over 100. I think we've done this like 4 years at least now. Well over 100 episodes. And I'm going to say Ted Potter Jr. 7th last year, 13th the year before, miscut, 13th. So when he finishes here, he finishes well. I think Pebble Beach where he won. Ocean Course gets a little windy. It was windy last year, finished 7th. Short course. It's not sexy at all. Don't get me wrong. But it fits Ted Potter at $6,300. And a GPP, it works. I wouldn't mind taking it. It lets you pay up for some big boys. So he's interesting to me. And the last guy I'll mention is another guy if you want to just punt it away. Tim Wilkinson. He's made 4 of his last 5 cuts here, 32nd, 36th, 50th, miscut, 46th. So he's interesting. Again, not coming in great form either. It's $6,100. Like you said, I don't want to be down here, but I can at least in a GPP stomach some. Like Ted Potter, weirdly, I'm intrigued by. Vaughn Taylor's another guy, good Pebble history, short course guy. He plays like RSM well. He plays I'm skipping my mind with the Lighthouse. Why is it skipping my mind? He plays that tournament very well. It's a Pete Dye course. Heritage. He plays Heritage very well. So he's another guy at 6,500. But yeah, nothing that really makes you want to run to. No Harry Hicks for you?
I'm not feeling Harry, man. I don't know. Like he's not coming in great form. So I don't know.
Did you hear his interview on Subpar?
Did not see that. No, I went to look for it the day after they said that they were going to have it, and I realized that they didn't have it posted yet. They were just saying they were going to have it, and then I forgot about it.
Electric Factory, as you'd expect. Like this guy gets it. I can't wait till we can have crowds back at events. Like it's going to be electric. So, all right, let's recap things real quick. 10K and above. Who's your number one?
I mean, I'm going to say Morikawa.
I don't hate it. I'll go Berger, but I don't hate it at all. 9K range. Who's your number one?
Sungjae.
Yep, I'm with you there. 8K range. Go 2.
Kisner and Sergio.
I'll go Kisner and Todd. 7,500 to 79. Go with, I guess, 1.
I'll say Griot.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I like him at that price point in this event. I think Griot's pretty strong. 7K to 75 or 74. Who you got?
Sink.
The GOAT. Yep, the GOAT. And who's your top 6K play?
I'll say Swafford. I mean, I don't know.
That's a lot of confidence there, folks.
Yeah,
A lot of confidence.
Very good about it.
Yeah, I'm going to go Bo Hogue. That'd be my guy there. If you're starting out a cash game, what 3 guys are you going with in cash?
Yeah, as mentioned earlier, I think Piercy is borderline cash. Still think so. I think another guy like Russell Knox at 7,400, and then Sung Jae. Sung Jae's just all over for me, but I really like Sung Jae at that price, like you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's a good price for me in cash, and it leaves you a lot of flexibility if you want to go to Sung Jae or whatever. But Kisner, CH3, Stugoat. Start with those 3 and build around it as you wish. Don't go cheaper than Stugoat, please. GPP, 3 guys you're starting out with.
Griot would probably be a GPP play. And then Charles Howell, like him quite a bit, and Sergio, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go, and people might say this feels like cash also, but for upside GPP wise, I'm going Sung Jae, Kisner, and Griot. I think they all have a good shot to win this darn thing. So I'll go that route. Speaking of winning, one and dones are back this week, so that's gonna be fun to discuss on the weekly. But who do you like to win this thing?
Man, I haven't even looked at odds. I'm really, really ill prepared here. You go ahead.
Like Berger's 14, Sung Jae 16. Those are interesting. But like Kisner 28. That's a guy I love. So he checks the box there at 28 to 1. Griot's 50. I don't mind that at all if you want to take a long shot there. He's got some appeal for sure. Then outside of that, it's obviously trickier because the odds get bigger. So no one really stands out to me outside of Griot unless you want to maybe go top 10, stuff like that. But like Brendan Steele, the defending Cam Smith won it. Brendan Steele finished second. He's 125. If he hadn't hit one into the grandstands last year and had to hit from the opposite tee box, that might have changed things for him. But
you get a free drop though.
Free drop. So that was pretty good. But there might not be grandstands this year, so it could be fun.
Sergio at 40. Charles Howell at 50. It's not terrible. Yeah, not a huge. I mean, Palmer at 28. Like, if I want to fade Palmer,
then you put money on him there.
May bet him at 28 and just try to hedge it a little bit.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. That's a good way to kind of cover your butt if he does get if he does run hot. Not a bad way to go about it. You mentioned Sergio. I think Todd at 40 is interesting also.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree with that.
That's got some appeal too. But short, quick, sweet. Any final thoughts for the Sony Open?
I don't. Just don't forget to put your OADs in and get the lineups in if you're playing some season long stuff. And here we go. We're pretty much locked and loaded for the next about 52 weeks or so.
Yeah, we'll be back with you guys on Monday on the regular, unless something weird comes up. But yeah, over 100. I think we have 115, 120 entries in the junkies. So get those in. That's pretty awesome. If you have any questions, hit us up in the Slack chat. That is free. But otherwise, check out Jesse on Twitter at DFS Golf Gods. I'm at BDN Trick, the podcast at Always Press DFS. This was your 2021 Sony Open preview. Catch you guys later.